going on, Patriots fans? Have some news here for you guys. According to the Boston Globe, the Patriots have entered contract negotiations with head coach Mike Vrabel, according to a league source. We knew that Mike Vrabel was obviously the top candidate for the Patriots after they fired Jerod Mayo 6 days ago. So they're moving very, very fast. But the reason why they're moving fast is because Vrabel is a very hot candidate for a head coaching vacancy right now for several teams in the NFL. He has already interviewed with the Bears and the Jets, and he does have more interviews scheduled. But we do know the Patriots did just recently interview Mike Vrabel on Thursday in Boston, and there have been some rumors that maybe it was held at Robert Kraft's home to add a more personal touch to the hiring of Mike Vrabel, but they did also have a scheduled virtual interview with candidate Ben Johnson on Friday, which reports said they were very open to being blown away by Ben Johnson. So now that we do have some sort of league source saying that Vrabel and the Patriots are trying to come to some contract negotiations, it really does sound like they're trying to expedite Mike Vrabel to New England. And if nothing does come to fruition with Vrabel in New England, aka they can't seem to find an agreement or they can't come to terms on a contract, then New England's search is going to require a little bit more time. I personally would rather New England take their time with this search. Why? Because they kind of jumped into Jerod Mayo, and by jumping, I said they had 5 years to plan for Jerod Mayo, and it just didn't work out the way that both Mayo and Robert Kraft thought it was going to. And while I do really love Mike Vrabel, I know a lot of Patriots fans on this channel know that I have been very interested in Ben Johnson. If he is a serious candidate about leaving Detroit and coming to New England, I do think that Ben Johnson would be a really good candidate for New England. But knowing that Robert Kraft probably wants Vrabel, he may have even wanted him last year, but knowing that he kept his word to Jerod Mayo, which I do really enjoy, I think that Vrabel is going to be the next head coach for the New England Patriots. Whether it happens today, Sunday, or Monday, I will break it down right here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. All you guys have to do to be in the know is go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. Join 20,000 subscribers here on this channel because, look, I go home, I go live from home, I do videos from home, I make sure you guys get your news when you need it. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. I have definitely had my reserves about hiring Mike Vrabel this soon after you fired Jerod Mayo because, number one, I think it's a little bit disrespectful to Jerod Mayo to fire an alumni on Sunday and then hire another defensive alumni from the Patriots franchise possibly a week later. I do think that when you do hire somebody like Mike Vrabel, you do have to realize the Patriots are kind of going 2 steps back here. They're going to try and redo what they just did with Mayo, but with a little more head coaching experience coming from Vrabel, which I do like that with Mike Vrabel's experience, and knowing that he had some success in Tennessee with a guy like Ryan Tannehill, I can only imagine what he can do with a guy like Drake May. The only reserve I have with Mike Vrabel coming back to New England is I hope that he doesn't try to replicate some things that he had when he was a player, because he hasn't played since the early 2010s. I don't want him to have to come in and try to reinvent something that isn't there anymore. And I said this in my video that I posted yesterday. If you had the opportunity to go back to your high school and coach your high school team, you can't tell me you wouldn't jump on that field and try to replicate some of the stuff that you had when you were a player. And if that does happen and it works out for the best, and obviously I'm fine with it, but a lot has changed since Vrabel last played for New England. And the reason why I say 2 steps back is because there have been sources that if Vrabel does end up being the head coach for New England, his number one candidate for OC is going to be Josh McDaniels. McDaniels was a good offensive coordinator for the Patriots, a very lousy head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, which was his last job. But then I always have that thought in the back of my head. Was Brady a great quarterback because he had Josh McDaniels, or was Josh McDaniels a good offensive coordinator because he had Tom Brady? There's a lot of speculation with that as well, but I think one thing for certain, if McDaniels does come back to be an offensive coordinator with Vrabel, you don't really have to worry about McDaniels trying to venture out and be a head coach anywhere. You should find some sort of stability with Vrabel and McDaniels to be there for the long run, because Vrabel has also been a head coach elsewhere. McDaniels has been a head coach elsewhere, and he failed, unfortunately. And then when you do look at a guy like Ben Johnson, The one thing that I do love about Johnson, and I know a lot of you guys are like, Allie, he doesn't have that coaching experience. He's got so much on his resume. He has truly built his way up the ladder, whether it's offensive quality control, tight ends coach, wide receivers coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. He's been with Detroit since 2019 in some form or fashion. And I think that Ben Johnson has had sustainable success those last couple of years by producing one of the top offenses in the NFL. And with a guy like Ben Johnson, I think when you look at Drake May, he could bring some talent to New England in terms of free agency. It may be a little bit tough depending on who that head coach is. Vrabel could definitely network and try to get some good players to New England and some good coaches. But I feel like when you look at Drake May and you look at Ben Johnson, free agents are going to be like, damn, that's a pretty good duo I would like to work in there. I'm just thinking of like a Chris Godwin or T. Higgins. If they set their eyes on Ben Johnson as your head coach, you haven't even looked at the offensive coordinator yet that Ben Johnson could bring in, and you look at Drake May, that's a pretty good pairing that may interest more free agents than possibly a Vrabel. I do think Vrabel is going to draw some eyes from free agents, so don't take that wrong, but knowing that now a league source has said that they're trying to hone in on negotiations for Vrabel, I think it's safe to say that this is what New England wants. There has not been any confirmation that they have signed him yet or anything like that. When they do or if they do, I will go live right here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. Go on ahead, hit that sub button for me if you guys haven't already. I want to make sure this is a one-stop hub for you guys. I know there's a lot of reports out there. There's a lot of analysts, but I hope that you guys can trust me and come here and have a good time with me. If Vrabel does end up getting fired, I will drop everything and I will go be live. So that's why you guys hit that sub button. And my last thoughts here is I want to make it clear is that the Patriots are in a very cool situation where I think their top two candidates are Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson. You can't go wrong with either one at this point. I think Vrabel and his coaching experience and knowing that he's a player's coach, knowing that he can reunite a locker room that has been wishy-washy last year, I think that Vrabel would be a very good candidate and a very good head coach for the New England Patriots. I also think Ben Johnson would be a good head coach and candidate for the New England Patriots. Knowing what Johnson can bring and the success that he can bring from the offense from Detroit, I think would be a really good setup for Drake May. And you're probably like, Allie, why are you talking so much about Drake May? There's 11 other guys on the field on both sides of the football. You are building around Drake May. He is the future of your franchise. And I do think Vrabel or Johnson would be a good attribute to Drake May to start off his second year in the NFL. But nonetheless, Boston Globe reporting the Patriots have entered contract negotiations with head coaching candidate Mike Vrabel, according to a league source. If anything does break, if he does end up signing, if he does end up agreeing to contract negotiations with the Patriots, we will go live here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. If you guys haven't already, go on ahead, hit that sub button for me. That way you guys can get any news, anytime, all the time on your New England Patriots.